science of today is the technology of tomorrow. A new discovery that will help save humankind. HeLa cell, the immortal cell as they called it. What is HeLa cell and how does it contribute to our health? Good morning, Philippines. This is Jason Bingil and you're watching NTBN. Henrietta Lacks was a poor African American who lives in Maryland, a mother of five, and died in cervical cancer at her very young age. In 1951, a poor African American woman in Maryland became an early and unwilling donor to medical science. At John Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, her doctor George Jones discovered the tumor cell they removed from her body earlier continued to thrive in the lab, a medical first. Before long, her cells that HeLa cells used for research and all around the world, contributing to major advances in everything from cancer treatments to vaccines. But Henrietta Laxor never gave permission for that research, nor had her family until now. In an agreement announced with the National Institute of Health, which grants the family a limited say over some of the research. Rebecca Skloot has to say.
My basic biology teacher, when I was 16, said there are these cells that have been alive since 1951, and the woman they came from died, and she was black. Like, that was all he said. And I went, what? What are these cells, and who was she, and did she have kids, and what do they think? And those moments, that's what writing is all about. Training yourself to recognize those big moments when they happen. There's the sort of what moments, and to just follow them wherever they're going to take you. The greatest responses that I get to the book usually starts with, I hate science, or I almost didn't read it because it was about cells and it sort of freaked me out, but then I couldn't stop. And a lot of what brings them through the story is the characters. The things that happen to them and the things that they do are really sort of too incredible. It's a story about family, and it's a story about what happens when you lose a mother, children trying to learn about their family, while at the same time, you're learning that you actually benefited from their mother's death. Every single person out there's not a single person in the world, really, who hasn't benefited in some way from these cells. I've had kids come up to me saying, my mom had cancer when I was growing up, and she's alive because she took this drug that they used HeLa cells to develop. So I feel like all of these things that the family went through when Henrietta died, I didn't go through because Henrietta's cells helped save my mother. I talked about the story a lot, which is something a lot of writers don't do. I would meet people, out at a dinner party or something, and they'd say, what do you do? Oh, writing this book, what's it about? And I would always start off by saying, it's about the first immortal cells ever grown in culture. And they would go, like, really? You're kidding? But I'd be like, no, it's interesting. And then I would start to tell the story of the family and the cells and what they did. And inevitably, everyone's reaction is the same. It's like their jaws would drop, and they would just like, really? What are you doing out of your house? Go home and write this book because I want to read it. Good science is all about following the data as it shows up and letting yourself be proven wrong and letting everything change while you're working on it. And I think writing is the same way. And I think that the process of this book was that. I mean, I started writing it thinking I was just writing a book about the cells and the woman they came from. What you imagine the unknown is going to be is never what it actually is.
Now, over a decade, HeLa cell helped many scientists around the world, creating vaccines that will contribute for the betterment of many people. Ethical issues roaming around about Henrietta was not actually informed about her doctor in this scientific study. Lately, their family discovered it, but they would have agreed on the positive impact of their mother's wonder. Coming up next, genetics and genomics and its update. Please stay tuned right after the commercial break.
No camera tricks were used in this commercial. Just BioLink VCO 5-minute hot oil for intense moisture, now also in shampoo. Mula sa Splash.